I want to do a podcast about films.
I'm not stopping you.
No, with you, you fool.
Oh, so you mean you want us to do a podcast about films?
Yes.
Well, why didn't you say that?
I did. I am.
Well, you can't say films. You need to say movies. It's a more broadly recognised term.
Yeah, don't worry about that now. Are you interested?
We can't just talk about films we like. That would be boring.
Okay, then what about films we don't like?
That sounds even more boring.
Okay, how about this? Films we disagree on.
Ah, intriguing. So one of us likes it, the other one doesn't, and we discuss our opinions on the film?
I think you mean movie.
Yeah, don't worry about that now.
But yeah, that's the gist of it.
All right, I'm in.
Great.
Could still be boring, though.
You're boring.
I don't see how that's relevant.
Should we do one now? Hello and welcome to Movie the Needle, a podcast where two complete amateurs haphazardly dissect a film that one of us likes and one, well, not so much. My name's Simon and I'm joined by my good friend Carl, and we'll be explaining our opposing viewpoints and seeing whether we can movie the needle for one another. This week we are discussing the 2006 Martin Scorsese star-studded crime thriller The Departed. Carl.
Simon.
How are you?
I'm all right, thanks, mate.
Excellent. What's been going on in the world of Carl this week?
Do you remember last week when I told you about my hour spent on TikTok? Essentially correcting
more hours on TikTok.
Correcting those people who were seeking to correct others.
Yeah, fighting the good fight.
Yeah, that's what I like to think. So this week, I saw a video, and in this video, this is TikTok again, somebody had mentioned, and the customer is always right in sort of disdain, top comment on there, the customer is always right in matters of taste. And then the top comment replying to that one was someone going, so you saw that video too. Yeah, but did you check the comments? For God's sake. So I have just wasted my time. I'm just howling into the ether.
Excellent.
Rubbish.
Well, I've been spending my time this week much more productively by being defrauded.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. Pretty funny.
Yeah.
Objectively, not if you're not me. Pretty funny because we were sat down having dinner the other night, or tea, depending on where you are.
And what time of day it is.
And the evening meal, whatever you want to call that. And Theo's like, "Oh, have you ever been a victim of fraud?" And I was like, smugly, no, son.
Theo, where's this going? Did Theo defraud you?
No. So they've obviously been doing something at school about safety, banking safety, and all of that malarkey. And I'm just like, no. I'm far too intelligent and smart.
Yeah, you wouldn't fall for anything like that.
No. Until about 45 minutes later, where I was walking the dog, headphones in, listening to
this
a
is
podcast.
in real life fraud?
Real? No.
Oh, this is still virtual.
Headphones in, listening to a podcast, then my phone rings, so you'll double tap on the AirPods to answer it. Didn't really see who it was, and they introduced themselves as the fraud prevention from a certain bank that I'm banking with. I was like, that's weird. And they didn't ask me for any details, any account details, anything like that. They told me information which seemed like legit, right? They were like, have you lost your card? No, I haven't lost my card. Okay, well, we've seen some suspicious activity. Did you use your card in January? It looks like you've had a transaction blocked on a book site, and I haven't replaced book site, the real thing, with book site. It was actually a book site.
They just said book site.
Yeah, it is a book. I couldn't remember what it was, but it was in January, and it did happen. Like, I was trying to find a book. It was a bit cheaper on this random website. Yeah. Went on it, and they blocked the card, and I was just like, whoops, probably shouldn't have done that. So he mentioned this on the phone. So I was like, oh, shit, okay, well, this seems pretty legit.
Yeah. Fishing 101, yeah.
Yeah. Well, but that's some information. It's like, that's probably where they got the details from. And so we're just going to perform some checks now. So it's this.
Yep.
And so still walking the dog, and he's like, right, okay. So you should just get a code through on your phone now. That'll just confirm that we'll cancel that. It's on the secure Lloyd's number or banking app number. I was like, oh, yeah. And just sort of like still walking in the dark, just sort of look at it and go like, yeah, can you just read out that number? Just like, yeah, and I was just like, hold on, hold on a second. And then I get another message saying like, we've just blocked the transaction. I was just like, wait.
The actual fraud kicking in.
Yeah,
the fraud detection kicking in.
And I was just like, oh, wait. And I actually read the message. I'm just like, oh, you're trying to get me to read out an OTP like thingy. You little bastard. So I just like hang up, phone them back, and then I'm basically doing that thing. I'm just like, but I was really distracted, and I was did that, and they didn't ask me for any details, but they still got it. And the woman on the other end is basically like, yes, moron. Yes, you are an idiot. Yeah. Well done.
I've long suspected it, to be fair.
To be fair, I feel violated and stupid, which I should be used to sitting next to you doing this podcast. But yeah, still not a fun experience. And
I mean, that is quite a good one, though.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, still, I think if I'd been sat at home and I got that, I would have just clearly been like, hold on, this is a...
Yeah. So what do you think they were trying to do at that point? Just reset your internet banking?
No, they were trying to put a purchase through.
Oh, okay,
like
for which they needed
for like 500 and something quid or something. They were trying to...
So even more basic, but still quite elegant in its
It was quite good.
Of course, it does fall down if you do the number one fraud risk set, which is just don't give anything out.
No.
When somebody calls you.
100%. And I was very much on like, well, I'm not going to give any like name, address. I'm not going to give...
Except for this other thing that they ask you to give out.
Just the thing that flashed up on your phone through a thing. But that was me. Have you ever been a victim of...
no, I'm not an idiot, mate.
Yeah. Thought so. What else has been going on? Anything?
No, not really. It did... a couple of things occurred to me through the week. One of which was, we've said MacGuffin a lot, I think, on this podcast.
Did you actually look up what MacGuffin and where it came
Well, no,
from?
I know what it means, but it struck me that anybody else who's not like some sort of movie geek or listens to other movie podcasts might not know what it means. So we've just been talking
it for people.
Bollocks on a different scale, on a different plane.
I think MacGuffin's pretty broadly recognised, isn't it?
I hadn't heard of it until I picked it up from some movie podcasts.
Do you know where it comes from?
I don't know the original one. I think, is it Pulp Fiction? People tend to point you in the direction.
I think it was. I want to say Hitchcock is
right.
Who kind of explained it, that there is a MacGuffin in every kind of movie, essentially.
Anyway, I thought it might be fun actually if I ask you to explain it, and I'll hope you get it wrong a little bit, so I can jump in and correct you.
What a MacGuffin is?
Yes.
So, as I understand it,
old gent, what a pro! What a pro!
So it's a device or something with a means to generate the plot and some activity from said characters in the film. So, for example, Tenet, the MacGuffin is the algorithm.
Yes.
There is something they need to find and do and destroy or whatever.
Yeah. And normally you give them a free pass, MacGuffins, don't you, Simon?
No.
No, it's funny because I think you do normally, don't you, Simon?
Sometimes.
Yeah. When it suits.
Yeah, and in the film we're talking about today, is there a MacGuffin, would you say?
I don't know. I wouldn't have.
But the microprocessors.
Yeah, I mean, that's a MacGuffin for that one set piece.
Yeah.
But,
so did I get it right? Do you need to correct me?
Yeah, that'll do, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, there you go, people. That is what a MacGuffin is. I mean, it's a very odd name. I don't really know where it...
Yeah, hence I'd never heard of it. I was listening to a movie podcast a while ago, and they kept talking about MacGuffin. And then
maybe just named after Martin McGuffin.
Yes, very good. And it just, slowly became apparent what it was, the more they kept mentioning it. But, not something I was familiar with, so thought we might explain at least some of what we say.
Well, we are educators here on the Movie The Needle podcast, as we like to say. It's, we're performing a public service for no reward. I mean, we are, quite frankly, heroes.
I think I frequently claim the opposite. I like to distance myself from those comments.
So I should take this cape off, is what you're telling me. All right. So before we get on to the movie for this week, what have you been watching this week?
So this week I watched this film that we're going to discuss, obviously.
That is good.
Yeah. Do you know, I think it's a pretty light week again. I did manage to watch K-19, The Widowmaker.
Oh, we were talking about that.
Yeah, I can't remember how that came up.
Harrison Ford, right? Mm-hmm. I think we were talking about Harrison Ford films.
Oh, yeah, maybe that was it. I managed to watch that last night, which was all right.
Yeah. How many widows were made?
Isn't it like 9?
I don't know.
Were you just asking me to make a shit joke?
No, just asking.
Oh, I think it's
9.
They might put a number on it at some point.
Really?
9, yeah.
Okay, I haven't actually seen the film.
Have you ever seen? There's a Twitter account that takes the titles of movies and then they'll put a frame up and they'll put a quote up, not a real quote, but where they say the movie title as if to imply that that's where it came from. And it'll be something like Jaws, and they'll just be man, they be some pretty big jaws on that shark. Like capitalised Jaws. It's, that's... But they actually do that in K-19, The Widowmaker, because they get 9 men. Do you know what they're calling this so far? They're calling it The Widowmaker. Oh, very good. Yeah.
So I do enjoy it in movies when that does happen, when they say the title of the...
Do you find yourself sitting up like Leonardo DiCaprio in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
What about you? What have you watched?
Again, pretty light week. So I have only watched The Departed and Infernal Affairs.
Infernal Affairs?
Infernal Affairs is a bit...
Is that like... No, I'm not going to go with where I was going. Who's that?
Infernal Affairs. So that is what The Departed was based on.
Okay.
The Hong Kong.
Good.
So
good.
Yeah, a bit of a comparison.
Yes, because I have some...
Obviously not seen it.
...criticisms of this film, which did raise a question about that, and I hadn't seen it, so I'm glad you had. We can dive into that a little bit.
Excellent. We shall. But before we dive into anything, Carl, I want you to go wrist or elbow deep into that sack of yours.
Listen, now I know you like offending the masses, one demographic at a time.
Sure.
And you're very keen to gloss over this apologies and retractions.
Right, you want me to actually do the apology.
Because, Sure.
Right.
And I say that because I think we might have one.
From last week?
Yeah, so last week when I...
Spirited Away.
Yeah, rather crudely... dissed the entire Japanese racing culture by saying that bathhouses were nothing more than men-only space and brothels. Yeah, I did a little bit of reading after that.
Yeah, not so much.
And it's a thing. It's a thing. And there have been periods where they were men-only, and then periods where they're not, and it's flipped back and forth. And there's definitely a lot of prostitution gone on in those places over the years, which has led to them having rules about how many female workers can be in all the rest of it. But I think it would be wrong to say that they were just brothels. I think, as I just callously threw that out there and said, what bathhouses are they? Oh, brothels, mate. I think that's probably not fair. Do you think we've got any listeners in Japan I should apologise to?
I mean, not off the last look.
I won't bother then. Right.
Serbia, that was the furthest we've been.
We've not offended them yet. Right, let's not bother.
There's
Move
still
on.
time.
Right.
So, beer me. What have we got?
Okay. As I unzip the bag.
There we go.
So, there was an obvious choice.
Yes.
For this film.
It being very Boston-y.
Very Boston-y.
You couldn't find that.
Yeah. It appears that they do not sell Sam Adams Boston Lager in the UK anymore.
Really? That's what I'm saying. That used to be like my go-to lager at one point.
Certainly not regularly available. So then I thought, well, there is actually a beer that appears in the film.
There is?
And much in the same way as when we were watching Apocalypse Now, and they have that Saigon Brewery 33. I thought, that'd be brilliant if we could have watched that with a bottle of 33, which you can't get. So I thought, really? I mean, that should probably be the rule. If a beer appears in a film, that's the beer we should get on.
Unless it's shit.
Yeah, do you know what the beer that appears in the film is?
I don't know, it's not like Budweiser.
It's Budweiser, yeah. And to make things worse, Budweiser in this country, 4.5% now.
What, it was 5, right?
It was 5. What is the fucking point? As if it's not shit enough already. So I've cheated.
Right.
So we've not gone for that. We've not even gone for a beer that I've tied to the film in some way.
It's fallen down already.
No, it hasn't fallen down, because this is a Leonardo DiCaprio film. Okay. So I've seized an opportunity to correct a previous miss, if you like, and we've gone for a beer that was linked to Blood Diamond.
No.
And even better than that,
Surely
it's the
not.
African version of Guinness Foreign Extra Stout.
Oh, that is wonderful.
So, there we go. What do you think about that?
I'm happy. I'm just going to listen to the Blood Diamond episode again, right while I'm recording this one.
Yeah, just in one ear.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's beautiful. That didn't make a very satisfying opening sound, by the way.
Oh, I don't know why you were going to...
There we go. That's a bit better.
You've no pep in your bottle left, Simon, I'm afraid.
That's it.
So, there we go. Cheers.
Cheers.
Lovely.
Oh, just imagine myself on a beach of a worn-torn country now.
Yeah, yeah.
You feel the heat.
Talking
Burning
to
bodies.
a way too attractive journalist.
Okay, well, let's get to introducing the film for this week. So it is The Departed. And as a reminder, our simple 5-point scale. Really don't like, ambivalent, like, or really like. So this week, I really like this movie. So, Carl, where are you sitting on this scale?
I don't like this movie.
It's a don't like. So a 3-point differential.
Yeah.
3-point swing for me to make up.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so I'll kick things off with why I like it. Little short intro. So
Is that a dig at me?
yeah, just a really brief, straight to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's see if you can manage that.
I mean, you're still going, so it's not so easy, is it?
So for me, this is a very enjoyable film to watch. It's got the right perfect level of complexity. Where I could follow what was going on, but it wasn't just a completely linear narrative. You couldn't completely switch off. Had the tension, had the fun dialogue, which we'll definitely be talking about a lot more, because the favourite quote is going to be a tough one for this one. There are a lot that I like. And it zips along nicely. Like, it is not a perfect movie, don't get me wrong, but I found it really enjoyable to watch, and on rewatch, it definitely still stood up. Carl, what don't you like?
Eggs.
Eggs.
Yeah, not a fan of eggs, to be honest.
Interesting. In every form.
Yeah, there are some forms that are okay, like in a cake. Yeah, that's fine. Scrambled as long
Chocolate
as not
eggs?
scrambled. Sorry, in an omelette as long as it's cheesy. You know, got maybe a bit of veg or meat in there as well. That's anything to distract from the taste of the eggs.
Yeah. Chocolate eggs?
Yeah, chocolate eggs are fine. Not a massive, not overly.
It's not the shape that offends you.
No. Very much the food stuff. Yeah. I wouldn't say offends me. I just don't like it.
I mean, I was talking specifically about the movie we're talking about this
right,
week.
sorry. Look, I've got to take a quick divergence because I was thinking about what is my taste in film. Because I was thinking on the basis of this podcast, I would say actually my taste in films is a lot more basic than yours, because I've tended to like the more straight down the line stuff.
I don't know.
And then today you say that this is a complex film, lol, right? Which is hard to say without sounding like an arsehole, right? Because you're basically saying, if you think this is a complex film, you're a thicko. So allow me to address that just to you, and anybody else can. Yeah, that doesn't. Not you. I don't mean you. I mean him, right?
Okay.
And then, okay, yeah, fun, right. Anyway, so why don't I like this film? So it is worth pointing out that I'm going to point out a lot of things that I don't think are very good about this film. But it's all relative, right? To get a movie made at all, there's a certain level of, well, that's good. And it's a Scorsese film. So when I start saying things like, this is nowhere near one of Scorsese's best, which I don't think it is.
Bar's high.
The bar's high, yeah. So we shouldn't, every time I say, yeah, but this is shit, I don't really mean shit. It's a relative
Comparatively.
term. Yeah, it's a relative term. So it's nowhere near Scorsese's best. There are some good things about it. For me, this is really style over substance. It's got a stacked cast.
Oh, and some.
Right. And it's obviously a very familiar stomping ground for him, not necessarily Mafia, of course.
Just down the road.
But Mob, right? Yeah, just down the road. I think they have that one exchange with the boys from Providence.
Yeah.
And you could almost say, well, a lot of Scorsese's work is style over substance, because what a style, that's what he brings to a movie, right? So again, it's not, it's a very, very weak criticism to say that, but this is a really big example of that for me. So I actually found it a bit of a drag. You say it's fun, I found it a bit of a drag. I liked none of the characters except Queenan. I wanted none of them to succeed, and then I thought there was plenty of daft bits as well. So I'm like, I'm not invested in it, and then it's daft on top of that. It annoyed me.
Excellent. Okay, so you talked about the stacked cast in your intro. Let's talk about that in some more detail. So this was a $90 million budgeted film.
It's quite lean.
It's pretty lean, right? I thought, guess how much of that was spent on just the salaries for the multiple actors
half.
that we've got? Yeah, half. Yeah. So would have really been a nice little lean one by Scorsese standards, I guess, if he'd got a bunch of unknowns. But he did not get a bunch of unknowns.
He certainly did not.
It is a hell of a cast. Yeah. The who's who of Boston accents. Some Boston accents.
Occasionally.
So, do you want to start with Leonardo DiCaprio's Costigan?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think I'm a Leonardo DiCaprio fan,
You think you are?
Yeah, I think having spent...
You kind of come round over the course of about 4 weeks.
Having spent a great deal of my movie watching life despising the little bastard. Look, don't get me wrong, I still don't like a lot of his early stuff. If he's not playing Petulant Kid in a film, I don't think he wasn't a good actor when he was younger. When you get into his latter day stuff, he's pretty good, I think. I think he's definitely got some chops. He's got that screen presence mentioned before. And for me, carrying's a strong term. Again, let's try to remember these are relative terms. But for me, he is the driving force in this film.
Yeah, I'd say so.
He's head and shoulders above the rest for me, actually. What about you?
Yeah, really, really strong in this. I think this is well up there. I think we ranked Leo's movies in a past episode. I can't remember where I put The Departed on there, but based on performance alone, I'd put it right up there for him. Him now, rewatching it. He was not nominated for the Oscar for this year. Why? Because he didn't want his politics, basically, wasn't it?
The studio wanted to push him for Blood Diamond, which again is just another reason as to why the Oscars and similar awards are just fucking useless.
Yeah, and I think he was saying he was uncomfortable as well, being pushed ahead of say Damon or any of the other.
Well, he shouldn't have been
lead
because he's much better than them.
But yeah, obviously he was nominated for Blood Diamond, but I think much better in this than Blood Diamond for me.
Yeah, I'd say that. I think that's fair.
Yeah, but I thought he was really, really good, really believable, and whereas Blood Diamond we were saying he's not necessarily believable as that soldier,
that side of it, not so much
as the kind of character that he is in this.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to overstate his acting abilities either. This is still somewhat in his wheelhouse, right? There's a lot of that little upstart, almost street urchin about him. But he does do it really well. He's got some great charisma. I think you can drop him into a scene and he just about gets it right every time in this. So, yeah, good stuff.
So I think we're in perfect agreement with Matt Damon as well, because I've just written perfect.
No, I think he's awful in this.
Really awful?
Yeah.
Awful?
So, awful's a strong term. He's completely miscast in this, I think.
Really?
Yeah. My problem with him, increasingly as I watch him in films as well, it is so obvious that he's a little rich kid, which he obviously is. Which he actually is, right? He comes from a really rich family. And that is all wrong here, because he needs to be, again, this little upstart from the streets. And he does not sell that at all in this film. He is completely unbelievable. You've written perfect, I've written bland.
So I thought it was great with the sort of arrogance that he has throughout it. I think worked really well.
It's a completely different level of type of arrogance, though, right? He's not believable as the world's never given me anything, I've got to take it all. His is much more a level of arrogance that is entitlement, because he just always comes across as being like the smuggest person in the room.
Does have the floppy dick though.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So no, I didn't like him at all in this. I thought it was really miscast.
How similar did you think Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio looked in this one?
Not really.
So it's funny. So I've told you before about when I first watched this with my wife. She genuinely didn't know that there were two different people.
Yes, you did mention that. Yeah, that's good.
So I made sure she really paid attention when we rewatched it this time. She's like, yeah, they still do look quite similar though. And just reading through some Letterboxd reviews, there's like other people that I saw said that no one says how similar they look in this.
Is Emma on Letterboxd?
Yeah, she's definitely not.
Okay. Well, there is one
so I was just like wondered if, with the seed having already been planted when you were watching this, you're like, I suppose there is a little bit of similarity there. I mean,
no, there isn't. No, really. I mean they've got completely different shaped heads for one.
Very different shaped heads. Yeah, oval versus triangular. DiCaprio is quite a diamond. Triangular.
He's got like a little sharp head, I would say. Until he puts a bit of timber on in later years.
Should definitely be a new section of the podcast where we go shape of heads.
But Matt Damon's got quite a bulbous. It's a large head. It's maybe bulbous is the wrong term, but it's
a good word, regardless if it's correct.
Yeah. Have you seen? I was speaking to a friend about Matt Damon's head. I think it's.
Does this come up a lot in conversation with you?
Well, we were talking about this this film, and we were having a laugh at Matt Damon. There's a couple of films where he has a ponytail, and his head is completely the wrong shape for a ponytail.
What films does he have a ponytail in?
It's either The Great Wall or is it like?
Where he's being some like warrior person thing. Yeah. I've not seen that, but anyway, he doesn't seem like someone who would.
It's not right. His head shape is all wrong.
Very much has the same haircut and everything, actually.
Yeah,
pretty much. Oh, well, I suppose talented Mr. Ripley had a bit of the floppy hair.
Yeah, he did. So I was thinking about, I think this about Matt Damon a lot, right? That he's actually really bland. And whilst I do like a lot of films with him in, and I start to think back about, no, he's bland in that. No, he's bland in that. Yeah, he's bland. And a lot of those roles call for it. I mean, you couldn't cast anyone better in The Bourne Identity. Good news, Matt. We don't need you to convey much emotion or any backstory because you can't remember anything. Yeah, great.
So I'm looking forward to 6 weeks' time where you come around and go, you know what, Matt Damon, really good.
Let's not rule it out. Well, I was running through his filmography and I was just thinking, no, rubbish, bland. And even the films I like, I'm not like, I love Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
I think it might just be because I think Robin Williams is a genius.
Yeah.
And actually, I do not believe Matt Damon is this little upstart from The Projects or whatever in that either.
Not even with his little Boston accent?
I mean, again, occasional Boston accent, I think we should say, shouldn't we?
Yeah, his character in this is almost trying to escape those roots, though, right? I mean, you can see with like the apartment that he gets and stuff like that. He's obviously trying to excel and get to the next level, escape his sort of background and his history. By any means necessary in bed with Costello.
Yeah, I'm so pleased you've said that because it stops me trying to lead you into a trap later when I ask you a question.
Oh, excellent.
You just put yourself there instead. That's good, thanks.
All right.
It's very much on the plot, yeah.
Okay, fine.
But I was just putting a little marker on that there.
Okay. We'll come back to that. Highlight it in your notes.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson as Costello then. What do you make of him? I mean, he definitely didn't bother with the Boston accent.
No.
I think
a couple of words.
I was going to say there was maybe a couple of words that he did, but then he was just like, fuck it, I'm Jack Nicholson, God damn it.
Yeah. Which I think is the problem. So let me just flip it around a little bit to you. Mm-hmm. How would you parody this performance?
How would I parody it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably just go very Jack Nicholson-y, with some of his
you would do more Jack Nicholson than this film.
Well, that's how you would have to parody it, right? You'd have to go...
My point is this role, he's so daft in this role, it is beyond parody. Now, I do have an answer to how you would parody this.
I don't think he's not full... I don't think he's full Jack Nicholson in this.
I have an answer for how you would parody this. Okay. And the answer is you would include the lines that Jack Nicholson wanted to include in this film that Scorsese went, no.
What? How do you know this?
So Matt Damon tells a story about that first scene, where they shoot the woman.
Yeah.
I guess she felt funny.
She felt funny.
And Matt Damon says that when they were on set, Jack Nicholson was going, the original, he was just supposed to shoot her. There wasn't a she felt funny. And apparently Jack Nicholson stands up and goes, now you could end the scene there. Or you could say, she fell funny. Because that implies, like, I do this a lot. Right. And he's that's really menacing. Oh, yeah. And then they do that and he goes, now you could end the scene there. Or I could turn a Frenchie and I could say, I think I want to fuck her again. Which again, yeah. And he goes
Probably
on. He goes on, and it's like, yeah, that is the only way this gets stupider from Nicholson is by doing more of what Nicholson wanted to do. So I'm not going to say that he's not completely Jack Nicholson because he is. I'm just saying that's not a good thing. It doesn't make him a believable villain. It makes him a silly villain.
Well, so I didn't think he was like full on Jack Nicholson, which sounds like he wanted to be.
Yeah,
but I thought it was a big performance. Like he's not going like the full Jack Nicholson, but it's a large performance that he's doing.
What are you having him as full Jack Nicholson in?
I don't know.
You just feel like he had more to give.
Don't know.
Come on, Jackie, you can hit me with some more.
Yeah, I don't know. The Joker,
yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think he brings a certain star power to it, a certain strangeness that Nicholson brings as well. That he's pretty quirky villain.
Well, so that's a fair observation, right? But let me bring that back round to why I now think Leonardo DiCaprio actually might be good, and why I'm increasingly thinking Matt Damon is actually not very good. Mm. So what you've just said may well be true, but then I watch that and go, I'm just watching Jack Nicholson here. I'm not watching a mob boss. Whereas increasingly with DiCaprio, I go, oh no, he's this character. I'm watching Costigan here. I can believe this performance. Matt Damon, I keep going, I'm just watching Matt Damon be Matt Damon again. Just be bland in another film. So whilst I don't disagree with that, like, he's been Jack Nicholson, is that a good thing? Is that what we're going for?
Well, I think so, because I think that strangeness that comes through, and there's that menacing quality to it in this role as the sort of mob boss, that he's a little bit unhinged in at the beginning, which that line of she fell funny, it's an odd thing. It's an odd thing to say, and it's kind of like you're maybe not quite there. And I think by the time you get through to the end of this, he's kind of gone even a little bit further, and become increasingly unhinged as he's trying to, figure out
based on
what's
what
going on.
Told you about the Matt Damon story. Do you now think the pretending to jack off in the cinema was?
You think that was an improv?
You think that was his addition? Come on, Marty, we got it. Oh, fucking hell! All right, Jack, go on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, stuff like that. It to me, it fit in with the character. It was kind of consistent throughout.
I agree, it fit in with the silly character, and he was consistently silly throughout.
Well, there we go. But yeah, did not try the Boston accent.
Let's go on to Winston then, whilst we're with Nicholson.
Winston, oh yeah,
Frenchie.
Yeah, Frenchie, Mr. French.
Yeah,
yeah, but you didn't like him either.
I just don't know what he was doing. I mean, the first thing,
he's the right hand man. He's the muscle. He's the
right. I might be misremembering this. Did he actually have anything to do in the film, or was he just talking to?
Smashed up Costigan's thing, and it was generally a bit of a hard nut, bit of an enforcer, bit of a he has that bit where he's sort of going like, hey, there's people you can't hit. He's almost a guy you can't hit.
Yeah, I didn't really buy it. It might just be a shaky accent, which was the shakiest of the lot because he wasn't even American for a lot of it. But no, I didn't.
You're a fucking cop.
Yeah.
I thought his accent was all. I think it was bad. I mean, it's very difficult because Ray Winston, you associate Ray Winston with a particular accent.
This is why I say,
so when he's not doing that accent,
and
again coming back to Leonardo DiCaprio, when he does a funny accent, it kind of stands out because you're so familiar with that one thing. So when they do something different, I think they call it acting. In their defence. But it does stand out. But I thought Ray Winston was pretty good in it.
No, I've got to be honest. His accent actually wasn't as bad as I remembered it to be. But it still did annoy me. I was like, oh god, could they really not have got anyone else? Because I don't remember him having like this huge role where loads of stuff. He does loads of stuff. I know he has a lot of dialogue with Costello. I was just thinking, anyone could have done this. But anyway, yeah, fair enough.
What about onto the cops then? The supporting cast. Queenan, you said you liked Queenan as a character. Martin Sheen making another appearance.
Yeah, he was good
on the pod.
I liked him. I believed that he had this air of authority and he had that integrity. Yeah. I thought he was very good.
He had that balance between like, yeah, I'm the fluffy teddy bear thing, the one you can trust, to then like, yeah, but I'm still like shit hard and know exactly what's going on here, and I am the boss. Thought he did that. Solid he is. He wasn't the original guy for that. Buggered if I can remember who it was, but it was some Irish actor that I'd never heard of.
Ah, cool. Yeah.
But apparently,
great content.
Like during filming, it was changed another apocalypse now for him. Just give me a call if you need to
put me in, coach, off the bench again to save the day.
All right. What about his right hand man?
Now,
Dignam, Mark Wahlberg.
I have problems with the character, but it's hard to think of a better role for Mark Wahlberg. Just an arsehole, actually, with the right accent.
He's a great arsehole.
Yeah, I don't think the character. I'll show my hand a bit for later, but for me, they should cut that character entirely.
What?
But he is great as that character.
Should cut him entirely.
Yeah. So this has got a stacked cast. It's too fat, and it's to the film's detriment. And I mentioned style of a substance.
Some of the best dialogue.
Well, it depends what you mean by best, doesn't it? I can think of another word I'd use to describe some of the dialogue in this film. This is a stacked cast. I said style of a substance. This is, hey, I can get all these guys together, so I'm going to. And I would implore filmmakers sometimes to go, yeah, but don't. Just put the few in you actually need for the story. Thank you.
Okay. So he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in this.
He didn't win, surely.
Well, no, same year as Blood Diamond, so he was up against, obviously, Jaimin, who they both lost to Alan Arkin for Little Miss Sunshine. But I thought Dignam was a great little terrier, angry little terrier guy, and last man standing at the end. He's obviously got like a strong moral compass from certain angles.
No complaints with his portrayal whatsoever.
Right, just the character himself.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, fine.
Is that unsatisfying for you?
It'll do. We'll allow it. Ellaby, Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, I really, really wanted to like Alec Baldwin in this role, right? But he's playing a parody of Alec Baldwin.
He's just Alec Baldwin. What do you mean?
No, he's not. Right. So me and you both like Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yes.
Right. How good is he? He's only on screen for like 5 minutes or something.
He is the scene stealer, the film stealer of that.
Amazing in that. Right. And yeah, he's got these colourful lines in this, and you go, oh yeah, he's got that charisma and everything. But it is like a caricature of what he was doing in Glengarry Glen Ross. So you're going to say, but some of the lines are really good. I'm going to say they are nowhere near as searing, and they don't give him the same sort of intensity and believability that he had in Glengarry Glen Ross. For me, this is like a poor imitation of that. So it's not that I think he was necessarily bad in this. I'm going to more put that on the sort of the screenplay. I think I've used that word in the right place.
Did you say the screen?
I think I said the screenplay. Let's skip over it before we have to define what that means.
No, I think you're good.
I'm gonna blame that because I think I really want to like him because I like him, and he's got that presence. But I'm just thinking, no, he just annoyed me. Just like I say, playing a parody of himself. But you lapped that up, didn't you, Simon?
I loved it. Yeah, I think it's so much fun. Like it's just so much fun to watch and see these characters like interplaying, like big, like overblown testosterone, like everyone battling to be top dog and stuff, and just this very homophobic and racist, largely language that obviously not a fan of such things. It fits with the characters and the environment within it. But I like Alec Baldwin. Anyway, we've covered the sausage. Do you want to cover the female character?
The token female. My first thing, it says, it's always fun when what is supposed to be our stoic, high-achieving professional female counterpart will lose all flight of her senses when being chatted up by a man.
Yes.
Which she goes to like that.
Yeah, she's pretty weak as a character. She
allow me to share the next sentence. Her character is ridiculously shit, and by extension undermines the love triangle.
You don't have to read the notes.
Struggles. No, but you've preempted them, so I'm just you've teed it up. I'm just knocking it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Vera Farmiga is hamstrung somewhat by the way this character is written. I think generally she plays the role okay. Like there's no
for what she's given.
No issues. But particularly when she's doing like the exasperated therapist in the sessions with DiCaprio, I think she actually gets to show a little bit of a little bit of the acting.
It's a shame she then shags him, isn't it?
Well, exactly. Like some of the choices this character makes is just that it doesn't make any. Don't make
I feel like,
sense.
by the way, we've said this quite a lot. This is something we come back to a lot, like slagging off the depiction of like women in films and things. But
the types of films we've chosen as well, they're not exactly strong femininity films either.
No, it's important because I know that when you're watching like films and what have you, the alternative is just to go, oh God, why'd you have to get bogged down with that? Just forget it. It's just a film.
Yeah.
But like it is important, right? So I'm a father of 2 girls, and you can just brush those things off and think, yeah, but not now. Now's not the time to discuss it. But like when they come home from school, and even at this age, they're talking about, they already are getting this impression of what they can and can't do. That is like a real indicator of like, well, that's how it happens. These things happen and everybody just brushes over and accepts them, and it's not the time. And even people who think they're against like that sort of feminism, they're not really, because if it comes down to the women in their lives, the mothers or the daughters, they care about it just as much. It's just we don't want to engage a lot of the time because it's not a nice thing. It's not an easy thing to talk about. So yeah, I was I had in my notes again. I was like, oh, we're gonna moan about women in Hollywood again, but like, yeah, we should really. I think because in this film it is pretty shit.
I mean, maybe it is just the small subset of movies that we have covered in the pod where they seem to be very male centric. But
I think that's probably not the case.
That's
right?
just Hollywood, right?
Yeah, I think it is an industry-wide problem, and that speaks to a societal problem, really, isn't it? But
I mean, interesting. You haven't seen Infernal Affairs, have you?
No, I haven't. No.
So
is she in that? No,
she's not in that.
Is it Chinese?
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
Yeah. So yeah, not quite. She's a versatile actress, not that versatile. But her character in this is essentially 2 characters from that combined into one. There was a girlfriend character, there was a therapist character, 2 separate, and they've just gone. Even worse.
I love that. No, well, yeah.
So they've just gone, we could have 2 female characters in nah, one's enough.
I love this. I'm so right about this movie.
You're confident already.
Yeah.
The only other actor that I put in here is the Boston accent, which I think is a character on its own, and I think it's fantastic. Just some of the words that are said.
But don't you?
The way they sound.
Don't you
the
think
microprocessors? The
processors.
Cap.
Yeah.
Cap.
Queenan is probably, and actually, I think I even include Mark Wahlberg in this. Queenan is probably the only one who consistently hits it up, that like remembers to do it.
Wahlberg
right?
Definitely, because he is a Bostonian, right?
He is, but it's not that.
Comes back to it, so he's like gone back to
his.
I mean, so Matt Damon though, isn't he? He is originally,
mate, he's like a real posh kid. He never spoke like that, I'm telling you now.
Have you ever been to Boston?
No.
So I've been once, and I did at a subway station.
You just giggling the whole time.
I asked for directions, right? Because it's like, I need to get to this place, and the guy was just like, "You gotta go Pack Street." I'm just like, sorry, Bob.
Yeah.
Pack Street.
Come again.
Pack Street.
Yeah.
Park Street.
Yeah, Park.
Park Street.
Yeah.
Park Street. You need to go to Park Street. Thanks. But it was just like, I don't know.
I feel like on the character of the Boston accent, though, it only shows up for 10% of the movie. And usually at the end of sentences, when the actors remember, oh yeah, you need to like just throw that in or whatever.
So I had down here to ask if you can do a Boston accent, but I think you've just shown no.
No.
I think you could work on it. recasting. What have you got?
Oh, I've got loads.
Yeah.
Who do you want to do first?
We'll start at the top, shall we? So, Costigan. Anyone for DiCaprio?
Well, let's do DiCaprio and Damon together because I think they need to be the same character. They need to be the same. They need to be the same type of.
I thought this was an Emma review again, where you just like they were the same character.
No. But they need to be. This is why I thought Damon was bland because I didn't buy him as this like upstart who had a tough upbringing, right?
So you wanted to be two sides of the same coin.
They need to be the same. They need to be believable that they have that sort of street side in them and they've had that tough upbringing, which I don't think Damon had. So you can apply, I think, these to either of these two characters. My first one, Jake Gyllenhaal, he's actually a little young for it. I thought he would be all right. He'd be better than Damon. Otherwise, Colin Farrell. You having Colin Farrell?
Oh, yeah, Colin Farrell. That would work. Yeah. Do you know who was originally down for this when they were first? Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise.
I don't know, Tom Cruise. That would not
no. Just no.
Love Tom Cruise. No.
But no. That, but they were talking about doing a sequel and getting Brad Pitt involved in that because he was he like produced it and stuff with his Plan B or whatever it is production house. But yeah, that's never come up. What about Costello?
I've got two more names for you.
Oh, you're still going with them? Go on then.
How would you have liked Michael Fassbender in either one of those?
His accent would have been fun.
Yes.
For that alone.
No, not that one. No, not that one. No, did
you sound German now? No, you sound Irish. What's going on? Although the Irish might have worked, I suppose, if you would be proper.
Well, he is Irish.
Yeah, but it would have worked in this, I mean, because it's,
Yeah, so Farrell and Fassbender, they could have gone up.
I like Farrell, definitely. I think that's definitely...
I also got James Franco, who's the right age, and I feel like he would bring more to it than Damon. I don't think he'd have been as good as DiCaprio, but... Cool. Go on then, move on. Who you got?
No, so I don't. Do you not figured out how this works yet?
Yeah.
I tell you who was going to be cast for it. You tell me the alternatives of who it was, because I can never think. Because once I see the actor in the role, I'm just like, yeah, they're perfect. Yeah, they're good.
It's hard having opinions, isn't it, Simon?
It's only so many you can make up.
Yeah.
It's only so many you can invent for the purposes of a podcast. You see, it's sometimes you just got to let it go. Yeah. Right. Costello, not Costigan. Costello.
Right. So because I think he is playing a parody of himself, and I didn't like that it was daft. Although I will say, if you wanted somebody to play that, because you've obviously you've embraced the silliness in this movie, and you're passing it off as, I think the word you used was fun, right? You've embraced that. If you wanted that, Christopher Walken would do a better job.
Yeah, I thought Christopher Walken,
because he would actually be menacing, whereas Costello would just thought, who the fuck's this clown? But me, myself, I want a more serious villain. So, how do you feel about Gene Hackman? One of my favourite actors. All right, you're not feeling the Gene Hackman. What about Ed Harris?
Interesting. I've got Ed Harris for someone else.
All right, so have I. All right then. What about James Caan?
He almost the actor who played the guy who got shot, who when Queenan died, he reminded me of James Caan.
Yeah, I suppose he did look a bit like that.
But yeah, James Caan as a villain, I don't know.
He's got the sort of the meanness about him, I think.
The last thing I saw him in was Fast Charlie, and so it's just ruined any kind of...
Well, forget that and Elf. What about Nick Nolte, then?
How many actors have you named for this thing? Nick Nolte. I don't know, he's a bit... I was going to say a bit old. I know Nicholson's also old.
Yeah, they're the same sort of age.
Yeah.
I've done my homework.
No, I don't know. Yeah, not.
All right, striking out on the Costellos.
Yeah, well, as I say, it's difficult because I thought
you big Nicholson lover.
Yeah, I do like a Nicholson. Any of the others? So Dignam. I know you wanted to remove him entirely, but if you didn't, you wanted to recast him.
He's perfectly cast for what he is. Yeah, my issue was with the character, so I haven't recast him.
Just to rewind. Pacino was the original one that they went for Costello.
Yeah, I couldn't see that because he's again the same the same age. So when I was considering Costello, my thing was to go actors of the same age. He pops up like, nah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You just get a different flavour of silliness. It's interesting that you're looking at that one and going, no, that would be silly.
Not silly.
But with Nicholson.
It depends. It depends what Pacino you got, right? If you get the Any Given Sunday overacting.
Well, is he coaching now? What's he doing?
Well, no, if you get the she fell funny.
yeah.
You know,
but she's got a great ass.
Exactly.
I think I want to fuck her again.
So I don't. Yeah, I don't. That was who was originally approached. And I
don't think.
Anyway, sorry, Dignam. Originally Dignam.
Oh, sorry. I should say. If Wahlberg wasn't playing Dignam, he could have also played one of the
others.
Yeah,
possibly. Yeah.
Because again, he's got that harshness about him.
Yeah,
which I think Damon doesn't have. I could have believed him in either one of those.
And just to come back to the Damon thing, so I think the character of this, because he's the overachiever, he's getting these promotions and stuff. I don't think he could be the hard man guy from the streets kind of thing. He's got to have that kind of.
Yeah, that's why it's a bad character, Simon.
All right. Anyway. Ray Liotta was originally down for Dignam. Nope.
No. Yeah.
Nope. So yeah, have you got any others?
That's Scorsese though, isn't it? Because he's worked with him, so it's I should get him
back
in.
to the well.
No, you shouldn't, Martin. Think about the film.
Yeah.
I have got. No, I haven't really got any others. I've said for Winston, literally anyone who can do an American accent. Doesn't even have to be a Boston accent.
Having just said that his accent probably wasn't actually that bad.
No, I didn't say that. I said it wasn't as bad as I remember. Right, okay. They're two different things.
So you said you had Ed Harris for someone else. Was that for Queenan?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I thought that was good.
Yeah.
I thought that could work.
The other one I had for Queenan was John Voight.
Yeah, I could see John Voight.
Yeah.
Similar sort of. I think he's done that. He seems like he's done that kind of role, almost like the Mission Impossible. His character
that
in that
authority figure. With for sure. Yeah. I did a one for Farmiga.
Was it Emily Blunt?
Yes, it was Emily Blunt.
Good. Well, we've got to do it. Yeah. I mean, she could do anything. She could probably play Costigan.
I wouldn't put anything past Emily Blunt, mate.
Yeah, Emma might be able to tell the difference then. Mel Gibson instead of Alec Baldwin was one of the original casting.
Listen, if you're going for the silly, overblown version, sure.
Yeah, and he's got the racism built in, so sort of very believable.
Yeah. He can't keep it in, bless him. That's the problem.
Just let him go. Yeah. Don't even need a script.
Yeah. Put 50p in. Off you
go.
No.
Not the Jews, Mel.
Yeah.
No.
We're not doing that here.
Not this one.
Yeah. You make those films.
You got any more?
No, that's me.
Alrighty.
That was lovely, by the way.
Okay, let's move on to the production. You talking about the beer?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Just check it. So the production, and I'm going to cook things off. Jesus, half a beer, can't speak.
Well, it is. What are we talking?
7.5.
7.5. Yeah.
7.5. Nothing nowadays, though, is it? I mean, it's not 12.
Yeah, not for a seasoned drinker like yourself. So functional alcoholic that you are.
You know it. So I'm going to start this off with something that's kind of not really related to the film itself, right?
Good. Yeah. Great.
Have you seen some of the posters for this movie?
No. You mentioned this about
I quite like
something else. I can't say I've ever given a second thought to a movie poster.
See, I used to have
where do you even see them?
I used to have movie posters on my wall, at my bedroom sort of thing, hung up and stuff. So I used to go to film fairs and pick up posters and stuff for free and cheap and get them from cinemas and stuff. So I quite like a poster. This poster is ridiculous. So I'm showing it to you now. This is great audio.
Yeah.
So just read as the poster is written.
Yeah, so the part.
And then a hyphen, right?
Ed.
And then they write
The Departed.
So they've got the on one line, the on one other line, part hyphen.
Do you think
why is there a hyphen there?
Yeah.
The Departed.
But not there. Not
Departed. And then they just write, no one's going to fucking read that, The Departed. We'll just write The Departed on.
Do you think what's happened there is somebody's mocked a poster up and all they had to go on at the time was The Departed, and they probably had The Departed there. They've got The Departed where they've got it. They probably had The Departed where the cast is. Right, well, and they've said when they handed it over, you'll just replace those as you put in other details. And they've forgotten to do that one.
We've got this one here. We've got this one here. Which one do you like? We'll just put them together.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But that won't... never mind. But anyway.
Fair play. That is some excellent pedantry. And you're dead right with that hyphen. It's an abomination.
Makes no sense.
No, none at all.
Yeah. We'll put a link to this for people so they can look at it as they're listening to this.
The D parted. That's what that says. The D parted.
Yeah.
D and parted.
I was looking at it like, is this a play on like words somehow? But I can't see it. I think it's just stupid. Yeah. I think it's just stupid. So anyway, production, Carl. What have you got for production on this?
All right. Should I start off with a positive or a negative? What do you want?
Oh, go for the positive. Why not?
Right. So, Scorsese is obviously a brilliant filmmaker.
He can make a film.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. Right. I don't know enough about the art of making films to be able to explain this. But the way he, frames stuff and shoots stuff, it always looks great.
Yeah.
Always looks great. And, a brighter person is going to be able to pick out, it's because he used a handycam here and this here. And blah, blah.
No.
I don't know. No. I look at it and just go, this looks fucking brilliant. And I write this way too often in my Letterboxd reviews. It looks great. It sounds great. What do you mean? I don't know.
It just does. I look at it and I go, that looks great.
And on the soundtrack, and he's great at this, which is something I really missed in Killers of the Flower Moon. His use of contemporary music in films is fantastic, and he's nailed it again on this.
So I've said the same thing. The soundtrack I liked. The use of Dropkick Murphys was very effective.
Yeah.
Like perfect use
Absolutely.
of it. You've got the Rolling Stones' "Gimme Shelter" again.
Oh, yeah.
You know other films he's used that?
No, this is the one that I remember of repopularising that song. Where else does it pop up?
Goodfellas.
Does he use it in there?
Casino.
Wow.
You know which film he didn't use it in?
Killers of the Flower Moon.
No. The Shine a Light, the Rolling Stones concert film. Doesn't appear in that.
Yeah, why would it? Yeah.
So he likes that, but I mean, it works really well. Like, it's
Fantastic.
just it is just great.
Yeah, fantastic.
And you're right. Like throughout all of his other movies, does a similar thing. It works.
Well, this is why when I said in my sort of opening style over substance, it's such a weak criticism of Scorsese because it's like, yes, but look at the style.
yeah, exactly. Speaking of style, the flip phone. Oh, it works
you like a flip phone?
I love a flip. Just the way that you end the call and it's down. It's like slamming a door, isn't it? It's like
of course.
phone.
Then it doesn't happen in this film, but if you're using them as burner phones, you then get the satisfying thing of being able to snap them in half. Well, yeah.
Exactly. Like I might have to buy a flip phone.
What, and then snap it in half?
No, well, maybe not straight
away. You get off the phone from the wife. Not talk to her again. That line's dead.
It's just
there's nothing for me there.
Just the ability. It was just. I don't think the film would be half as fun for me without the flip phone. I just really enjoyed it. Imagine with a smartphone, and they'd just be like and swiping. It's just not the same.
Smartphones would kill a lot of old thrillers and action things, wouldn't they?
Yeah, just Google it, mate.
Yeah, they could just suddenly. Where is he at? I'll tell you.
Yeah. Hold on, he's on Find My Friends. Here he is. Yeah, yes, there.
Yeah.
Wait, his Insta story says he's just done this. So, yeah, that's good. The other thing I liked about this was we kind of said at the start, budget wise, only 45 million of it spent on the actual production itself, not the cast.
Lean.
It's lean. There weren't any of those huge like actiony set pieces or like anything overblown like that, which you might see in some big crime movies where they might be tempted to go like, we could make this an actiony crime.
Yeah, we could make it exciting, but they chose not to.
We could do like a car chase. We could put a car chase in. We should do a car chase. There's a crane. We could have a crane coming in and do it. So, it doesn't do that. It doesn't need to. He just kind of lets it. The biggest set piece is obviously like the shoot is just a shootout, and that's pretty. It's pretty small. Like there's like 3 cars involved and some shooting. And that's it.
I mean, I think you can feel that myself. I'm not going to say I was bored. That would be a bit disingenuous, but I don't think this is a particularly exciting film. I think you can feel that it could have benefited from just a little sprinkling.
Very different experience. I was so engrossed in this. I thought I couldn't take my eyes off it.
Thing is though, if you let's a little thought experiment for you.
Okay.
Let's say you weren't as enamoured with the dialogue and the exchanges as you clearly are, that sort of overblown side of it. What are you latching onto besides that in this film? Because like you said, there aren't any big set pieces.
Well, I like the twisty, turny fear of being found out from both sides of it and nearly catching each other at it, not quite catching it. So, all of that side of things.
Okay.
What?
I'm going to talk about that in the plot.
Okay, fine. You talked about it feeling a bit slow, not boring essentially, but
I don't know that it felt. Is slow the right word? I'm not sure. Yeah, I've got to be honest, right? So, I don't think that this is a very well executed story, maybe. And we've said like about how we cross the streams here a bit. Is it plot? Is it production? You're talking about screenplay. I think some of the decisions, how they choose to tell this story, which is why I've included it in my notes under production, is really, really clunky. So you mentioned at the start, and look, and I joked about saying, if you think this is a clever film, you're dumb, right? But I am really only joking. But I do find the setup to be really, really clunky, right? You've got exposition galore in like the first 10 minutes, okay? And we have to make sure, and we only do this, we do it so quickly, we give them like one scene each to do this, and like Costello's a philosopher, we must get that in, and we show off that Damon's got an accent because he has 2 lines where he ends really strongly on his accent during the rugby game or whatever.
Right, yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, okay, right, yeah. And then we know it's gritty because Costello drops the N-word twice in like the opening 2 minutes or whatever. Damon says queers and homos again in his first introduction, and then Wahlberg says cunts because we know he's a bastard, and we've got to lay down in the first introductions with no subtlety whatsoever. Here's where we're at, and I've no problem with exposition per se, right?
But kind of necessary at times to actually.
But I just think this is bad exposition. This is like, oh God, come on! I'm not an idiot. I can tell he's gonna be. I can tell it's gritty without you actually having to say the N-word twice. You can be racist in many other ways without having to cut straight to that. I'll just say it once and then say something else. So I just didn't straight away from the off. I'm like, oh God, this is just clunky. And then on the back of that, through that sort of lens, you're saying you like all the overblown exchanges and dialogue. I just think cheesy. That's where it ends up. That's where it ends up feeling for me.
Not cheesy for me. I think it's big and it's somewhat I don't know, larger than life. The characters and how they're talking and the phraseology that they are using. Do people actually talk like that?
Well, and this is the thing. It just comes off as completely manufactured. Whereas I think in some of Scorsese's other efforts, I could completely buy that. Oh yeah, this is what the mob world actually is like. And I know he's dealing with a different set of lads this time around.
Yep.
But I didn't get that feeling at all from this. I just thought, oh God, it's just we're going straight down the middle.
So you talked a little bit there about the language used. So I thought we'd play a little game,
go on, yeah.
Which I'd like to call Play Your Fucks Right.
Okay.
And if we could have the theme tune of Play Your Cards Right just going on the background.
We'll see what we can do.
That'd be great.
Look, if we can work this into every podcast, I'd be delighted. This sounds great.
Okay, so you're familiar with Play Your Cards Right? It's essentially a game of higher and lower, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
nothing for a pair.
No. So the number of fucks or derivatives thereof in Scorsese films.
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to start you off with, and I'll tell you the number that are in that movie. So we're going to start with Taxi Driver. Okay. There's 33 fucks or derivatives thereof. Okay. So Taxi Driver's 33. Okay.
Makes sense. Low dialogue.
Yeah. So, okay, we're going to go, let's try for Shutter Island. Are we higher or lower than Taxi Driver?
Could be lower. Could be lower. I feel you've started with Taxi Driver 30. What we go? It's quite a long film to. I just. I'm gonna.
I don't overthink it.
I was gonna say higher. I was just gonna say higher.
Oh, it's low. It's 19,
I should have gone with lower.
19. So we've got Shutter Island 19. Okay.
Yeah.
What about Raging Bull from there?
Oh, well, that's
lower
Joe
than
Pesci's in that, so we're going higher.
That's just he's got 19 in the first minute. Yeah, Raging Bull 114. That's all derivatives thereof. Tricky one now. The Irishman.
Joe Pesci's in that. Stephen Graham's in that as well. So for quite a lot. Ray Romano. No, let's go lower.
Going lower? No, it's high. It's 136.
I'm terrible at this game.
Yeah. And now The Departed. No, actually, no. We'll go Goodfellas. Actually.
Oh well,
Goodfellas.
Joe Pesci's in that, so we're going higher.
So Goodfellas, yeah, highest 300.
Yeah.
300. The Departed.
That's got to be less than 300.
Going lower?
Yeah.
237.
Yeah.
It is lower.
Yeah.
It is lower.
Joe Pesci's
And Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, that's got to be higher.
It is 569.
I thought you were going to hit with Casino, and I was going to say, well, Joe Pesci's in that, and he's more of a central character, so that'll be even.
569. The top trump in the thing. 569 fucks or derivatives.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, I should have gone with Main Instincts and Shutter Island. I don't think I would have got the
Raging Bull.
The Raging Bull.
So yeah. So there you go. That's Play Your Fucks Right. Tune in next week.
What was the other one I got wrong?
Irishman?
Yeah. Yeah, I would have known.
So there you go. A lot of fucks.
A lot of fucks.
A lot of fucks to give.
Still, I like that. Yeah, let's do some more of that.
Okay, good. Only other thing on production, right? So I said I watched Infernal Affairs as a bit of a comparison piece, seeing as it is a remake. I also read that Scorsese had not watched Infernal Affairs. I mean, if he's not watched it, it's very it's shot for shot.
Okay, I'm glad you've watched it, because one of the things I've written down for production is this was, because I think it's clunky, this was blatantly a film that started out with the idea of double agents. Whoever's making this film has gone, I've got this idea of double agents, premise, right? Yeah, and I'll figure out the rest of the film from there. Now that's totally fine, obviously, because that is how you make a film. You have to start fucking somewhere, right? I don't think Scorsese gets much beyond that, and he's constantly trying to fit stuff in. So my question was, and you've sort of already answered it, how much is, because I know it's remade, how much is that Scorsese just going to love that idea, that's all I'm going to take, and how much can we blame the original film for this? Yeah,
I mean, I think it's obviously from the screenplay, so Monahan, I think his name is, who did the screenplay for it. So it's a remake of Infernal Affairs, but actually there's like 3, I think, Infernal Affairs films.
Right.
So Infernal Affairs 2, which becomes a prequel and does a lot of the backstory part, which they cover in more depth in this one. So Infernal Affairs is an hour and a half.
They cover more backstory in The Departed.
Yeah, as in like the early part of it. Yeah, there's a bit more.
The one scene that they do in The Departed covers more than the Infernal Affairs.
Yeah, Infernal Affairs, they just go straight in, basically.
Jesus.
There's like one scene, basically, where there is, they were both in cop school, and
sounds shite, mate.
One of them goes, yeah. So anyway, it's an hour and a half.
Okay.
Infernal Affairs, so it's a lot. It gets straight to it quite quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is shot for shot, some very like for like things in there. I preferred The Departed to Infernal Affairs. I liked the fact that The Departed was longer. I felt that it spent a little bit more time on some areas that Infernal Affairs didn't. But a lot of people say, the trendy choice is obviously you go for the original film and not the not the remake. But I think this remake is probably a bit better for me.
Yeah, everything's got to stand on its own merits at the end of the day, hasn't it? Yeah.
But if you take Infernal Affairs 1 and 2 together, I don't know. If you put those together as essentially a comparison piece together, maybe that's different. I don't know.
All right, well, let's touch on those decisions again in a sec, because the one final thing besides changes I've got is I actually think Scorsese deals with violence quite well in his films.
Yeah.
Or he's got I think he's very skilled at showing you very, very brutal violence, but not really showing you it. Because a lot of it will happen off screen. It'll be done with like blood splatters or something.
Yeah.
Or when you do see something, and there are some horrendous stills from throughout his films, they're generally only on screen for a second.
Yeah, it's a little flash up.
Yeah, it'll flash it, and then you're away. And I think he is quite good at that. And that was the case again for this one, I thought.
Cool. Have you got anything you want to change then from the production?
Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing, and this is along the lines of, I think this is a bit. He's got a cast, and he's trying to find roles for them, and I don't think he should have done. I think he should have ditched one of Queenan or Dignam, because the good cop, bad cop thing should have been between one of those and
the Ali Baldwin character.
Yeah, right. That should have been the conflict, and I think it was a bit too obvious, including the ending, that he had Mark Wahlberg and thought he should use him.
So Infernal Affairs, just a comparison piece, I guess. Just the Queenan character.
Yeah,
is there is no Mark Wahlberg equivalent that I can think of.
Yes, I'm so right. But the other change I would have wanted to do, which I'm not going to go fully into here, how I would affect this change. But I think this film would have really benefited from more backstory and world building, because I found the setup really shoddy. It left me with some questions, which we will discuss in the plot, and that I don't think the film ever does a good job of doing. And the nice thing about doing backstory, I think, is you can not do what you want, but it gives you the chance to do some cool scenes, set pieces, whatever you want to call them, just without having to tie them in later to anything, because you just like developing a character. You don't have this isn't central to our story, but it allows me to have this silly scene or fun scene or whatever, however you want to phrase it.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like he did it quite well, because it felt quite rapid, as you were saying, because they cover
like one scene each.
Yeah, they cover a lot in not a lot of time, but I think they do it quite neatly. I think like they get over the fact that the Matt Damon character is getting promotion after promotion and working his way up the ladder very quickly, and he's obviously doing that with the support of Costello.
I agree. They definitely tell you what happens.
They do, yeah, and they do. There is the exposition part, but they get to the point so that they can then launch off into the main plot without having to be bogged down in a lot of backstory, which essentially wouldn't get you any to a different place than just doing that little bit of exposition for both the
we have a fundamental
Damon
difference on that then, because
DiCaprio characters.
All right, they tell you what happens, and I agree, more backstory isn't going to tell you what happens anymore, but it's going to tell you why, and that is the big bit that's missing from especially Matt Damon's character for me in this, and he adds nothing.
Well, the why is because he's been looked after from a child and groomed essentially to be that role.
But that
for
is
Costello, right?
That is you projecting everything you think you know about Matt Damon's character on one exchange with him in a shot.
Yeah, that's the beauty of how well it's done, right? You can fill in the gaps yourself.
Then I don't believe Damon. That's the thing. So if I'm to do all of that, and I'm to take what he's putting on the screen, because there's nothing else on the screen to tell me why he feels the way he's doing, what his motivations, and I don't believe him. So you've either got a change where I want to see the production doing more of that heavy lifting, or I want to see Damon bring some fucking life to the role, some believability. But for me, both one of those two things is lacking, and you can put the blame wherever you want. But that's what I would change anyway.
Fair enough.
Any changes from you?
No, it's perfect.
I'm really glad we had this discussion.
All right, let's move on to the plot. So, Carl, what have we got for the plot? What questions do you have?
All right, so excellent segue, because we just finished up with it. What are Damon's motivations, right? Because if he was actually looking for a way out, you're saying he's this high achiever, right? His motivation is, I've come up with nothing, and I'm trying to escape from this life, right? What are his... He gets one. He has a legitimate way out, right? He could actually leave the life behind. He could get a transfer somewhere. He could do whatever. But he doesn't. He stays loyal to Costello.
He's not trying to escape that. Like, he's trying to escape the...
So why? Is he scared of Costello?
Of the poverty. No, Costello for him is his vehicle. I would say is using Costello as much as Costello is using him to progress up and literally physically up into the penthouse apartment overlooking that place he wants to get to with the view. And
so actually, Damon's then Colin Sullivan is actually quite Machiavellian in that sense, then, right? Because he's mapping out. He's cold and calculating, right? He's trying to map out.
Thank you. For the audio listeners there, I was making a face of, oh God, he's used Machiavellian. That's one of those things where it's like, oh shit. I see that come up a lot. I've never really understood what Machiavellian is.
I should have just said cold and calculating. No, I just sound like a wanker.
So on brand.
So, yeah. So in that sense, then he's, like you say, he's using him. He's cold and calculated. I come back to the same thing I said before. I don't believe him. I just don't believe him. So the whole film I'm watching and I'm going, why is he this way? Because I didn't get enough from the backstory beyond one simple exchange that, like, well, he had nothing. But he doesn't act like somebody has nothing. He acts like someone who's entitled to everything. He's got that smugness about him.
He's been groomed from a young age, right? He's been identified.
We are to assume.
From the scene where in the what is it, shop, where he's like piling him high with all the goods from the store, and then there's the group of lads that are all together, and Costello is. What's the word? Like,
he's threatening him, isn't he?
No, he's not threatening. He's telling him about the church and how the church is
there's
no place for that.
His philosophy.
He's philosophizing. Yeah. Is that a word?
Stay in school, kid.
Yeah. So exactly. So he's like doing well in school. He's progressing in that way. That's sort of the way to get. And Costello's doing that because it's not a selfless thing. He doesn't want these kids to do well, right? He's doing it so he can use them for his own means. And then I think the Colin Sullivan. We should come back to Colin as well.
But this is the thing, though. So now we're saying, oh well, of course he's loyal to him because he bought him food all the time. I mean, what? No, I know what you're going to say, but this is what my point is. This is you filling in all the blanks.
Yeah,
the film didn't give us.
You're not impressed. You're not impressed.
Oh, you'll fill in these blanks. Right, but this is you doing all the heavy lifting. What Scorsese's put out there isn't enough.
I don't think it's heavy lifting. It's pretty clear out there. They get him young, they groom them, and they. But
why it annoys me is because Damon is so fucking bland, whereas DiCaprio, and I think they need to come from the same sort of background. I mean, they literally do come from the same sort of background, right? But DiCaprio does seem like it. Damon does not. At no point.
Well, he becomes that because he previously the DiCaprio character is pretending to be a cop, right? Not literally, but that's what Dignam and Queen essentially say. You're like, you're not a cop.
Yeah,
you just want to look like a cop, and like, why are you doing this? And it's kind of go back to your background, and the whole exchange where he's having the you had two accents, didn't you? You had two fucking accents.
Yeah,
on a weekend you had that, and he's psychoanalyzing him and he's nailing him, and he knows exactly who he is. And knows that he can be used in that way because inside he has got he's the rat bag. He's the
he's got that streak in him, but DiCaprio wears that on the outside, right?
He does after that scene when he embraces it when he comes in.
But he does. You could take that scene out of there, that exposition, right? And DiCaprio would still be wearing that on his sleeve. I'm not saying you would necessarily know what his background was. But you would know he's still got this, like, almost like tenacity, this sort of like, this sort of rough streak in him. If you take the scene out about Damon, you just go, who the fuck's this guy? And all we know about him is he can't get it up. That's the only bit of thing that they speak to do afterwards. Yeah, but you wouldn't know he's conflicted from Damon's performance.
Floppy dick, that's conflicted. That's why you've got the floppy dick, because you've got too much going on in your head. You can't get it in your head.
He might just be worried about the office pools or whatever. The draft. I've got to organise that draft. That's coming up. I got it so wrong last year. We can't have a repeat of that. I put the Chiefs in there twice, for fuck's sake.
It's Margaret's birthday. No one's got her a cake.
Yeah, like you wouldn't know.
Sorry, correction. There's no Margaret. There's no females in that. That's an error.
And that's the thing for me. Like, at no point did I ever really fully understand Damon's motivations, and it kept taking me out of the thing. Whereas DiCaprio, by contrast, I was like, no, I get what his motivations are.
What are his motivations?
Well, he is searching for a better life, right? And the one that's presented to him isn't necessarily the one he wanted. He wanted to just succeed as a thing, but he recognises actually where he's coming from, and like, well, yeah, if this is the way it's got to be, this is the way it's got to be, and I will take that. Damon's the opposite, right? Damon's like, he's got that
in the same place.
Is that entitlement of like, no, I want it my way, and like you've already said, he's using Costello as much because he's trying to. I didn't believe Damon. I did not believe him. And you can put the blame either side, but yeah, it did not work for me at all. What about? What did you think about? What do you think about the super secret unit using the same psych as all the other staties?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It's a bit silly.
There's some of this that doesn't make sense, right? It's a bit silly that Costello can't guess or doesn't suspect that Costigan is, the newest member of his gang who went to cop school.
Yes.
Might be the guy who's, the one to be suspicious about. There's a level of just like, you've kind of just got to go with it in that sense. I mean, yeah, that's why you needed, one female character to do two roles. So hence why you needed them both to be using the same.
This is it.
The same thing. Whereas you had a separate girlfriend and a psycho analyst person, therapist, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit weird. I can't imagine that would be a real thing, but maybe it would.
So you said in the original, quote unquote original, she's two separate people, and I really hated the love triangle as a plot device because I thought it was a desperation to mesh these two worlds together.
Yeah, that was
so much,
very much so. Yeah,
and then it leads itself into making silly that. Well, they'd have found out. Or there's this, there's that. Not to mention what it does to her character.
Yeah, I think that was. I will agree that I think that's a little bit of an error there, and it did seem like, no, look, it's not just that they're playing two sides of the same coin. We haven't got an undercover cop and an undercover criminal, essentially. And
this is, I come back to like what I said. For me, it started out so much with the idea, and then he's at pains to force everything through this thing. And the change I had, I'm saying it now because you've already mentioned that in the original actually is that ditch the love triangle, right, and replace it with some actual character development. Because I know that they do use those scenes a little bit with Leo's character, with Costigan, to bring him on a little bit.
Yeah. You can still have that with a.
You can still do it with something else, yeah. Do it with another character and give it a bit more hit. And then also you can do, for God's sake, you can do Damon's better. You can do Sullivan's better than just, we can't get it up. Because they don't actually share a lot of screen time. That was a Matt
Damon suggestion, that one.
Yeah, I bet it was, yeah.
What do you mean I bet it was?
Well, he's just arrogant enough to think he knows best, isn't he? That's what I'm getting at.
I really am looking forward to the 6 weeks' time where you come full circle on Matt Damon.
Listen, mate, I'm really out.
I don't think we've got any Matt Damon films lined up, so I don't think it's going to
happen. Yeah, I'm not really out. I'm an idiot when it comes to these films.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing I would change would be the Vera Farmiga character as well. Like she's incredibly weak. Like the decisions she makes just don't make any sense because they've combined the two characters. She just makes some such stupid decisions that like a professional therapist just wouldn't possibly surely go anywhere near it.
It's really poor, yeah.
And you just make that too stronger female.
So
character.
you mentioned the well, how haven't they spotted him, right? How haven't they spotted that it's Costigan?
Not a cop.
Yeah. So there's a question for you then. So there's a bit, isn't there, where they do the microchip deal, microprocessor deal. Yeah. I don't know what they are. You don't know what they are. We'll give it.
See, that's good.
Yeah,
that is good.
They do that, and then that triggers him to thinking, well, one of these guys is a rat, right? Because the implication is that only they knew about that deal, right? I got that right, that reading of it right.
Yeah. Someone's leaking.
Okay,
to it,
so question for you then. If he knows one of them's a rat, right? So there's 5 guys.
Every time you say 5 guys.
Yeah. Well, there's actually only 4 guys, because unless Costello's been fucking doing it in his sleep, he's actually only got 4 suspects. 3 of those 4 suspects are with each other when they get the call to say, the rat's meeting with Queenie right now.
Yeah.
And the only one that isn't, therefore, has to be the rat, right? Yeah. But that's just, I've not misunderstood that, have they? That is just a glaring plot hole, right?
I think you're pretty right there. I guess not everyone knows that they're not all together. And the one that he does, the guy who does connect it, where they say the wrong address and he gets there, then
I've got a question on that as well. Was he a cop then, or what?
No. They just said he was a cop to cover the fact that to make him think that. So
why did he tell Costigan instead of calling one of the others over and going, "Here, I gave him the wrong address"?
I think he was just going like, "Look, I know, but I'm not going to say anything because."
Because why?
I don't know. Maybe he doesn't like Costello.
Okay.
I did think that at the time, to be fair. I was just like, because he kind of alludes to something. He's like, "Do you want to know why I didn't tell him?" And then he just dies.
Well, does he just die though? I got the impression Costigan finished him off.
No. He just.
Oh, well, if he was on his last, he definitely should have shouted one of the other lads over first. Because
I think it comes to I think it comes back to the fact that they think that Costello's almost he's losing it. He's kind of going too far. So actually, they kind of want rid of him as well a little bit. So
because because you said this was a smart film. And I know you said there's a level, though, to it.
It was smart. I said it was the right level of complicated. That's not smart.
Well, you did use the word complicated, though, which is not...
level of complicated.
Not a word I would have
which is
associated
not
with this
very.
Film. Because I kept thinking, oh, that's a nice twist. And then I would do the silly thing and think about it and think, no, it's a stupid twist. Like the FBI, the fact that he's an FBI informant. At first you're like, oh.
Yeah.
But then it's like, no, that's not the way it works. They get the lower level guys to turn in the high level guys. They don't get the high level guy to flip some lower level guys and just toss them a bit. They're trying to take the regime down, not get arrest numbers up, for fuck's sake. And then there's that one like, oh, that's nice, he's giving the wrong address. Well, why is he telling him? And like, why haven't they identified that he's the thing when all the rest? So yeah, it was too much of that. I like constantly coming out of it for that. I mean, I'm getting sort of to the end of my general problems with the plot here. What did you think about the fact that you had all of this supposed sort of deception and intrigue all the way through, and then they essentially just start killing each other anyway?
But it's twisty-turny killing each other.
In that you killed us, now I'm going to kill you. But what I mean is, like, they would never have killed the police captain, and if that was a viable option for them, they'd have just cut straight to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was them acting independently on their own. That wasn't a Costello instruction necessarily. They kind of went and it got out of hand, and they made a bit of an error. Yeah, happens in Infernal Affairs as well. Same thing.
Well, okay, I won't blame Scorsese for that, but I'm not going to go as far as to say that's when it jumped the shark, but it was pretty close, I thought. I was like, you've really just soiled yourself. This is now a silly. This is crossed over from frustrating to a silly plot.
Well, I think the reason for doing that is because it isolates the Costigan character.
Look, I don't doubt they wanted to move the plot along to the destination they already had in mind. I'm just saying that was a silly way of doing it.
You think like if there's only two people in the world that know that who you are and what you are.
Yeah.
And one of them dies and the other one gets thrown out of the force, essentially, then that isolates him and forces his hand to essentially uncover the real rat in the police force, and it drives that.
Look, for me, it starts to feel cheap from then on, and of course it escalates to we basically end up killing everybody, and I was really frustrated with. I've genuinely never seen the ending, by the way. I've tried to watch this film twice before. And I've never got all the way through.
Really?
Yeah. So when the second mole showed themselves,
the James Badge Dale character.
that was a genuine surprise to me. And I did think that was quite a nice surprise.
Yeah.
Although, quite what he's been doing throughout the film. when Costello's been put... But, whatever...
He's just in the background.
Yeah,
you can't have everyone at the top of their game, can you?
no.
Everyone being, like, leading the way. You've got to have some foot soldiers.
That's fine. We'll let that one slide. But I did think that was a genuine thing. But then it's like... But then Damon kills him. And it's like... At that point, I'm like...
Covering his tracks.
To have Damon, the blandest character of the lot, the one that's the least developed, come out on top as a real damp squib. Ooh. And then he doesn't come out on top because Wahlberg... And it's like, fucking of course, Wahlberg. So, and again, I come back to that. That is Scorsese going, well, I need to give Wahlberg a big send-off here. I've got him in saying cunt at the start. I need to... And then he disappears and I need to... cheap. I just thought it was really cheap.
Oh, see, I like that part. So you think like, oh, he's got the upper hand. Oh, no, he's dead. Oh, he's got the upper hand. Oh, wait, no, he's...
Because whatever the little plot holes, right, that you have and these inconsistencies you find, they are trying to make like a bit of a thriller, right? That's what they're going for.
Yeah, it's a crime thriller.
And you're trying to go through all of that and you're trying to be smart with it just for it to end up with everybody killing each other. It's just like, oh, for God's sake, guys. That is really cheap. And then, of course, we get the actual rat running across the screen. At the end, which is
that was like, that bit on the nose.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Come on, Marty, what are you doing?
A bit unnecessary. I expected to wear a little chef hat and start cooking.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a bit odd. I did write that down. It's like a bit unnecessary. Just like, yeah, we get it. There's a rat. Yeah, we get it. Bit weird. The other thing from plot, not really plot, but impressive pocket texting.
You've had this before, haven't you, with something?
Well, this is similar to being able to remember a phone number.
Yes, that was it. Yeah.
But this is being able to text in your pocket with those phones that they like make a noise when you press those buttons as well. I do compare that to my ability to text with the screen in front of my face using two thumbs that I can see, and it's still coming up with absolute gibberish garbage language. But I suppose it was easier back in the day because what you pressed was what fucking came up. None of this predictive nonsense.
That's true, yeah.
So yeah, there we go.
Good observation.
Flip phone.
I look forward to more mobile phone based observation in the future.
I'm going to buy a flip phone.
Yeah. Did you have a flip phone?
Yeah.
I had one for a short time.
Yeah. And a slidey one.
Yes. Very good.
Yeah.
Sony Ericsson job.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was after the Matrix, wasn't it? With the slidey phone.
They were super cool though.
They were. Yeah. But yeah, smartphone ruined everything.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
No, so just my changes, which we've already touched on. I'd ditched the love triangle.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that one.
And I'd used that to give some better character development for Sullivan, especially because I just didn't buy him at all.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on to the data. No, that's not right.
Leaving this in.
This is why you're wrong. I scrolled down too far because I was adding a note that I'd forgotten to add. This is why you're wrong. So this is the closing statement from each of us. And then we come to the point of whether our needle has been moved.
Come on, let's have a laugh.
So, yeah, this is going to be a bit of a dull one, I think, isn't it?
Arms.
Yeah, I know. It's basically, I don't think this is...
Nope, not fucking getting me.
Don't think so. So I said at the start, right, this is not a perfect film. There are a couple of things that I would definitely have changed. But I still can't get away from the fact that the viewing experience that I got is not cheapened by those things. So it zipped along. It was an enjoyable movie. It was, as I said, the right level of complicated. I'm not saying it's complicated. As you know, I don't need a lot of complication, just a little bit. To where you got to keep concentrating a little bit. That's where I'm going with that. But yeah, I think everything you've said, like I can't really relate because all the things that you've said are cheap or unnecessary. It's all the things that I actually really enjoyed. So it's like.
Well, that's fair enough. And similarly, I do understand why somebody would enjoy it. I know we have a laugh about this, right? But it's not to say whether or not you should enjoy something. That's up to you. I just think there's a lot of stuff in here which is a bit shoddy, a bit shonky, a bit silly. And if you take that to enjoy that, fine. I couldn't get on with it at all. For me, he was a bit. I don't know whether he was a bit stuck between two modes here because he's made these really stylish, sort of colourful mob films before, right? this didn't have enough of that for me at all. And then he's made grittier films, both early in his career and later, right? Like your Taxi Drivers, and then latterly Shutter Island, which is a film which I love. I think that's a really gritty film. I didn't so much like Killers of the Flower Moon, but again, he's really going straight down the line gritty there. And for me, this gets caught somewhere in the middle because I didn't think it was smart enough to be properly gritty, and I thought it was too daft to be enjoyable. But again, I get why people enjoy it. I do think that it's wild how highly rated this is. I think that for this one, for him to get the Oscar for this, is very much.
And you're not alone.
This is what he's done.
Yeah,
it's his turn.
At the time when it happened, it was very very much seemed like that was you don't necessarily deserve it for this film, but you do deserve it for your catalogue of films that we've not rewarded you for in the past, and you've got a film this year, so let's do it.
Yeah.
And I think yours, I don't think this is the greatest Scorsese film of his catalogue. I think, in terms of it being, number 40 in the IMDb top 100, it's pretty high.
It's pretty high.
It's a good solid move in. I think people are comparing it, Scorsese to Scorsese, master to master of the craft.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think if this was some other dude did this, and you'd be like, oh, made a hell of a film, this random guy, hasn't he?
Yeah, totally. I wouldn't even say it's a bad film. For me, it's a bit like a caricature. This film. This is a bit like a Scorsese caricature. It doesn't mean it's a bad film, but that is the reason I didn't like it. You found fun in all of those things. I think it's fair enough.
I had a lot of fun with it. So no needle's been moved today.
No movie.
But we might have moved someone else's needle. You never know. Someone might have liked this film and they've just completely ruined it for them. So you can take solace in that, Carl, that someone has had their life just made a little bit worse.
I did enjoy being grumpy on this one. I don't always enjoy it, but this one was a nice one to be grumpy about.
I'm glad you had fun.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the data?
Let's do it.
So this is actually the data section. Got there in the end. So as we alluded to already, it's number 40 in the IMDb Top 100, which makes it an 8.5 rating, averaged over by the users, and a Metacritic of 85 as well.
It's too high.
Very similar.
Really
It's kind of right in my ballpark. I had it at 9 on IMDb originally. I think it's probably going to be about a 9.
Slinging your 9s around like they're nothing.
I know, dude. I'm a much more
Make
generous
him work for it, Mark.
Just a much more generous person, as you know.
Sometimes.
Generous lover. Sometimes.
Yeah.
And Letterboxd 4.3. So high.
Yeah,
high.
Too high.
Oscar wins for Best Picture, as we've just said. Best Director.
Yeah.
Adapted screenplay. And as well as editing.
Probably. It looked good.
And that's the old Oscar thing of like, if you win editing, you win Best Picture, basically. It didn't win anything at the BAFTAs, though.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Interestingly.
they've got more taste, haven't they?
Yeah. DiCaprio and Nicholson were nominated at the BAFTAs. Interestingly. Neither one. But yeah. So where does it sit on your rating?
I'll probably give it 2.5.
2.5. Okay, well, that's
I don't think it's
solid.
A bad. Yeah, it's right in the middle of the pack. I don't think it's a bad film. I just don't like it.
How about rewatchability?
No, and like I said, this is actually the first time I've watched it all the way through. And
I
watch it again.
I would rewatch it. It's actually second time round. I thought, this is actually more rewatchable than I remember it being. So yeah, I would rewatch it again. So as I say, zip through. Best scene. There's a bar scene, Carl. So therefore, right, I'm assuming.
Look, I know
cranberry juice.
No, so I said there is a bar scene, but like everything else in this film is pig shite boring. My best scene, because this was probably the only moment I actually felt the genuine tension in the film, was the bit where they have to write down their details.
Oh yeah, with the citizens.
Yeah. I thought that was, and again, I think a lot of this rests with DiCaprio. I thought he did a good job in actually getting that tension across.
A little bit of Infernal Affairs comparison again. The word that they couldn't spell, bodyguard. Yeah. Maybe it's more complicated in...
Cantonese, Hong Kong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cantonese.
I should let you go first.
I
You could have offended.
I was going to say
Yeah,
Cantonese
yeah.
then, and I was just like, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yes. There we go. I got it. Yeah, so I did actually put the bar scene because I quite like that cranberry juice and then him going mental and then it leading to all the various things with Frenchie saying, there's people you can't hit and that. So yeah, but there's lots of scenes that I enjoyed, so it's a difficult one to pick. Quotes. Oh, challenging one for me, Carl. But I'm going to let you go first.
Look, I'm not dead inside, so I do have honourable mention for those. I don't know what they are. You don't know what they are. Who gives a fuck? Right. I also want to call out
another line you could use at work.
Yeah. If ever there was a more misguided line, by the way, I want to call this out, than Costello talking down to the Chinese about how we don't carry automatic weapons here in this country. Yeah. Fucking hell, lad. But my best quote was one of Costello's when they go, she's on her way out. So we all are. Act accordingly.
Yeah, it's good.
That was quite good.
That was
good delivery.
So I've got a few, and I can't do it. So a small shout out for you don't have any cats. I like that.
Yeah, fair enough. Cats are
cunts. Who are you? Who am I? I'm the guy who does his job. You must be the other guy.
I like that. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that one, but you could definitely use that one at work.
Yep. And then what's the matter, smartass? You don't know any fucking Shakespeare? When he quotes the whatever it was. Yeah. But it's the Alec Baldwin thing where it's I want to smoke. You want to smoke? Yeah, smoke, do. What, he's one of those fitness freaks? Go fuck yourself. But I think that was back to your making almost a parody of the Glengarry Glen Ross side of him.
And again, fun, but it just, it's not, it was, I wanted more seriousness from this film.
Favourite character?
My favourite character has got to be Costigan.
Because you love a Leo.
Well, apparently that is the case, yeah. I can't, it's becoming hard to argue with, isn't it?
Mine's Dignam, the character you want to completely get rid of.
Yeah,
but
I would.
Yeah, I like him. Did he cry, Carl? Yeah, it's not really going to be a crier, is it? If someone cries at this, I'm going to be a bit worried.
Yeah. How are things at home?
Yeah. And gratuitous nudity.
No. Good.
Bit of an ass, but that was it.
Yeah. It's the fake penis, I suppose, but that doesn't really count, does it?
No. They were in a what do they call it? Like a skin cinema. What do they call them? I don't know. Porno thing, and they didn't even show that on screen. So I mean, really, no gratuitous nudity. And considering it was an 18, they could have done whatever they liked.
Yeah.
We move on to our top 3 films, and we're doing Matt Damon this week. So I will go first for a change.
Go on.
Good Will Hunting, The Bourne Ultimatum, so the third one, and this one, The Departed, for me. You got any?
Well, I was tempted to
say
Oppenheimer because it's one of my favourite films. But I felt cheating a bit because he's not really the star. He's not a lead.
He's a fairly strong.
It's a bit of an ensemble piece besides obviously Cillian Murphy. So I left that out. So my top 3 would be The Bourne Identity.
Oh, interesting.
The Talent of Mr. Ripley, and then Good Will Hunting.
Oh, there you go. One crossover.
And like I said, I don't necessarily know if I think he's much good in any of them, but I do really like those films.
Yeah. I mean, when I try and do these, it's very much on the. I look through some of my ratings to help guide me of what I actually liked, because actually trying to think of them off the top of my head, I was like, did I like him in that? Did I like that? And I really enjoyed The Martian, which I know you.
No,
maybe not. So might come to discuss that one.
He's bland as
down
fuck
the line. There we go.
Ridley Scott being daft, Matt Damon being bland. It's all there.
So I know you have a hard stop in 1 minute's time, Carl. So have you got anything else?
No, let's get the fuck out of here.
Alrighty, then that's all we've got, guys.
God
so
almighty.
If we move the needle for you, or even if we didn't, please get in touch with us by email at hello@mtnpod.com. Also, please do rate us, follow, subscribe wherever you're listening. It makes us feel warm and fuzzy to see those numbers go up. It's become a bit of an addiction. Our Twitter and Instagram is MTN Movie Pod. You can also find our page on Facebook and TikTok. Details can all be found in the show description. So, from me and Carl, it is goodbye.
Goodbye, let's have it.
I'm going to go try and solve this brain teaser I've been sent. It's a video of Leonardo DiCaprio pretending to be some sort of fish. The only clue I've got is this, is that he's not a cop. He's not a fucking cop. So I'm thinking salmon.
Oh, dear.